check one.
Good evening, everyone. I didn't know that I would be doing this. Michael nominated me. My name is Jonathan Kirk. I'm the chair of the music department here at North Central College. And I just want to welcome all of you here at the end of a long year, a great year. I want to commend Michael for doing this, not just as his Capstone project, but for all the work that you've done to bring Voices of Praise back here into the stage. So I want to give a round of applause to open that, but also to commend you for that work. It was tremendous what you did in such an amazing service to everyone here at the college. So I'm very proud of that work that you've done. So please, from my heart. So thank you, all of you. This is going to be a really interesting show. I've been working with Michael for 4 years now, so in just different ways that I've always enjoyed our conversations and our really amazing sessions of brainstorming. But I think one of the things that's really special about this project is it kind of blends a little bit of research, performance, and original composition. And so we're going to see that tonight. So we're going to open up with the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. How's everyone doing? Good. This is going to be a very interactive presentation, something a little different. I can have y'all sit for an hour and be quiet. So we're going to kind of walk through this together. Let me get that real quick. Oh, yeah, I got you. Which one? You said this one? Let's see, which one is that? There you go. So we're going to be very casual tonight. I don't like the whole, be up to different presentations. You feel like you can't move, can't talk. So we're going to be talking to each other. We're going to be very informal. We're going to walk around a little bit. But I just want to start with a welcome for you guys coming out. Thank you for coming out. Also, if you look at the back of the pamphlet, just wanted to say thank you to everyone that has helped make this possible. Special shout out to the Maze Music Center of Excellence. Also, Ms. Angela Andrews, actually her donation was able to get us all the sound equipment today. So again, thank you to you for that. Also, the Office of Faith in Action for allowing us to use this space. Reverend Eric for holding down the tech back there. Advisor for the Voices of Praise Gospel Choir. Also, to Voices of Praise Gospel Choir for being able to help me out with this project. I really, really do appreciate it. To the Rubin family, to the Petaway family for all of your support being here at North Central College, and most importantly to my friends and family. Thank you guys for all being a part of this experience with me. So without further ado, we're going to move forward with today's presentation. As soon as my start working. Today we're going to be discussing a few things. We're going to be talking about the history of gospel music, the development of gospel music, and then we're going to get into contemporary gospel music, and then we'll be showcasing some of my original compositions. Now we know there's different types of gospel music, but today specifically we're going to be looking at black gospel music and understanding the effects that the African diaspora has had on gospel music in the Americas. All right? That's what I'm like. Talk back to me. Thank you, Grandma. So let's first, before we can, talk about a certain type of scholarship, we have to be able to define it. So what is gospel music? So gospel music can be defined as African spirituals. There were songs that was sung to represent the coming of the good news. So if you know about gospel or read the Bible, you know that the gospels are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And so that's what they're referring to. The good news is the coming, Jesus Christ being resurrected. He's coming, coming back, stuff like that. And so that's where that message of hope, expression of freedom came from in relation to gospel music in the Bible, and the literal gospels in the Bible. So what kind of experience, what kind of influence gospel music in the Americas? So as we know, African music has a very important foundation in all types of music. That goes back to the African drum beats and the syncopation, and we'll get a little bit into that. I don't want to jump too far ahead. But that freedom and that sound of the drum really changed when the African diaspora took place. For those that don't know, the African diaspora refers to the mass displacement of African American. There was three big moves. The first move was from Africa to Europe, and so that's how you get a lot of the black population in Europe. The second movement was from East Africans. They went up to Asia, and then that last movement, which we're going to be talking about today, is when Africans were brought to the Americas. And so why does this matter? Well, when you think about people that have had to go through some stuff. I know everybody has had to go through some things, but being in a slave ship when you're cramped next to people, like you hear agony. Can I be dramatic? I like dramatic. Can we get a little music so I can tell a story? Give me some good dramatic music, because I like to be dramatic. So imagine being on a ship, and you can't move, and don't get me wrong. Now we can take a couple of hour flight, from one country to the next. But they were on a ship. These were month-long trips, not able to use the bathroom, not being able to move, being chained to their neighbor. You hear screams, and you don't know, if you're going to make it. People jumping off overboard, they're killing themselves on the ship. And so this can have not only a big effect just when you get back physically, but this also has a mental effect on you. Thank you. Let's give Jeremy a round of applause. And so that had changed some of the musical characteristics of the time. So once the Africans were able to make it to the Americas, the message changed, as I talked about. So there were different effects of displacement, and music began to be used as a communication strategy to be able to get free. So what does that mean? So Africans at that time did not have access to musical instruments as we do now, or drums that they had. Most of those instruments were either left in the country, or if they were able to bring them on, they were taken by their slave owners or either destroyed in the process of them trying to take it. And so that allowed a lot of people to get creative. Anybody ever had to get creative before? When you have to put that extension cord on the surge protector, and then the surge protector on another extension cord just to make it so your phone charger can make it in the wall. That's a type of creativity. But this is a different type of creativity. So because they didn't have their instruments that they were used to playing with, a lot of people went to hand claps. That's why, the hand clap is something we was watching during our California tour for Voices of Praise. We were watching this documentary, and it talked about how the slaves would use their hands, because when they had drums, and the drums that did make it, or if they had homemade drums, talking about communication strategies, they would beat certain patterns to know which store that they were going to attack later on that day, or beat certain patterns so they know what time the Underground Railroad would be running, what time Harriet Tubman was going to come to free the slaves. And so when certain slave owners would figure out, they would say, hey, every time they play this beat, this store gets burnt up, or every time they play, do something in this type of mean, something bad happens. So that made the slave owners take their drums because they, caught on. Also, another thing they started using was a lot of household items. So pots and pans, washboard. Anybody ever heard of like a good Mississippi take it to church type of shout? They'll bring out the washboards and give you a look at. So that is kind of where some of those things originate from. Also, I'm jumping around a little bit, but the harmony, there were minimum harmony. So most songs were monophonic, which means one moving line of melody, and a lot of it was group sing. It was not a lot of individual characters, because one thing that they realized, and even throughout the segregation movement, is when you can sing and you sing together strong, it creates some type of almost like hope. It creates some type of power when they sing. We was having a lunch and we was talking about with the different protests of, they noticed people don't sing anymore when they protest and march. A lot of people are screaming. And that was one thing that a lot of people relied on in the segregation times, was like they would sing, "We shall overcome," and they would all sing it together, and it created a sense of unity, a sense of power. And so that's another thing of what has carried over since the African diaspora. So we're going to give you a little, I told you it's going to be a little different. So this is an interactive presentation. So we're going to give you just a little bit of what Wade in the Water would sound like back then. So we're going to just talk about, we're going to have the choir sing, and I'm going to give you the reason why they sung Wade in the Water. So Wade in the Water was used to tell escaping slaves to get off the trail and into the water to make sure the dog slave catchers could not sniff out their trail. People walking through the water did not leave a scent that the dogs could follow. And also, in addition to that, this was used to tell them when Harriet Tubman was coming, to wade in the water because help is on the way and they're going to, get on the trail. So here's the trail, sorry. The verse says,
wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children.
So that was an example of songs that was sung in that time. Now this is a song that's a part of the traditional hymn of just gospel music, but it was made popular by Ramsey Lewis, as most people would know it. Once we got access to recording equipment and different instruments, we could start notating and writing our music. That's another reason why I know a lot of people talk about, small tangent here, a lot of people talk about why is a lot of gospel music taught by rote? Why is a lot of gospel music not written down or recorded? Well, one of those things is we didn't have access or resources to be able to write. We couldn't just get paper and take an ink pen and, if we did, it'd get burnt or taken. Plus, slaves wasn't supposed to know how to read and write. And so knowing or showcasing being able to read and write could put a real big on your back. So that's one reason why a lot of gospel music is by rote or either not recorded. Thank you, Voices of Praise. Round of applause for Voices of Praise. Next, we'll talk about the development of gospel music. So I think this is what everybody thinks of when they think of gospel music. This was most popular between the 50s and the 90s, some early 2000s, but by that time, a lot of people was moving towards praise and worship teams and different things like that. So I like the development the development of gospel music because that is, honestly, what we know it as. So let's first talk about kind of the instruments. So it was still during segregation, but for the most part, black people, African Americans, we were free. So we were able to, start kind of investing into our own resources, having access to instruments, being able to read and write, and different things like that. So some of the popular instruments that you would see would be the Hammond B3 organ with the Leslie, and you hear we're usually backing up the preacher, and the Bible declares, and you get it, and so you get all that with that. Y'all gotta laugh. It can't be. That was a good wasn't it? No? All right. You also see things like the electric bass, as we got Mo playing here. But it was just what you really see that was most prominent in this area is just the more access to different instruments. You get the piano and the synth, and so you get people like Twinkie Clark who tear that organ up, and then they was doing different things on the piano synthesizer to get fun and funky sounds that was outside of traditional or classical gospel music. You also get more participants. So this is when the mass gospel era is very popular. You see those big, like the Mississippi Mass Gospel Choir, Chicago Mass Gospel Choir, with 20 to 60 participants, all with their robes, and you got the very enthusiastic director and all that good stuff. This is when you really seeing that boom, and because we have the resources to be able to host that. Also, it was a little bit more organized versus people coming together, figuring out how to strategize to become free. It was more joy, more celebration, more planning. So you had more churches, Sunday morning worship services that the choir would sing at, revival nights that you had the choir, Tuesday service, Wednesday service, Saturday night, morning, and evening service, Sunday evening service. So all those different services that began to be more organized. And then also, this is where the gospel sound is very popular. So you'll hear things like when people say oh, that good raspy voice, or big, full, bright soloist. That's where that gospel sound come up. All of the diminished triads, different chords like that. If I had time, I'd go into it a little bit more depth, but I know we got a little bit of short time and a lot of information. So if you want more about it, I can go into depth after. And then you have more specific repertoires. So it was music that was sent to me, written to me more than just freedom or hope. It still kept that same underlying message because now, back then it was okay, we need to get free to get to North, but now it's I need my bills to get paid. Life is hard. I feel like I'm not in my right mind. So it was still that message of hope. It was just a little bit different, cateredly differently. Also, resources. We have more uniform, more attire. So you have the choir robes. Voices of Praise, we have our red robes, if you ever seen them. A lot of it was more rehearsed. So versus just getting together and just singing and hoping for the best, we actually have scheduled rehearsals with paid music directors, hopefully, and different things like that. And just overall, just being more organized. So kind of the gospel standards, and this was kind of really set during that developmental process of gospel music. So that's when you have more things like syncopation. Does anybody know what syncopation is in here? Okay, we'll do a quick demonstration. So syncopation is very simple. It's just the anticipation or the delay of a main beat. So I'm gonna have everybody. Everybody's gonna participate. I'm gonna step down just for a little bit. So we're just gonna clap on 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're gonna go. Okay, and y'all gonna keep that right there. And I am going to syncopate the rhythm, or I'm gonna have a syncopation. Thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause. So that's basically what syncopation is. It's just, some people refer to it as embellishments, but it's just an anticipation or delay of the main beat. The other thing you see more prominent. Can I walk a little bit? Is that all right? One thing you see more prominent too is 3-part harmony. So more classical music refer to more of 4-part harmony. So you have soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. with gospel music, it was more focused on SAB, or soprano, alto, and tenor, three-part harmony, which we're going to demonstrate for you guys tonight too. And so that was a real big thing, because if you remember from the history, from the historic part of gospel music, it was very much group sing, monophonic. So now we're getting a little bit more of polyphonic music, when you got different melodies intertwining at different parts and different things like that. So it's much more interesting. I mean, you got to change it up. You can't just sing "Wait in the Water" if you got 6 services you got to do for that week. So you have to change it up just a little bit, all right? And then the other thing is the enthusiastic director. So if you don't have an enthusiastic director, you can still have a gospel choir, but it just doesn't do it the same. Anybody heard of Ricky Dillard? Yeah, Ricky Dillard is an enthusiastic director. So if you get a chance to check him out at home, I recommend checking out More Abundantly by Ricky Dillard, or I Got the Victory. He be doing back bends and cartwheels and pointing at the choir. He be sweating. That's how he be directing. So that's just something that became a gospel standard during this developmental time of gospel music. And then the last part is ad-libs. So this is almost to be like a solo. It's just a term that we use more specifically in music, or an embellishment. So it's just a combination of soloing and embellishments of lyrics. So, for example, if you hear a song like we were singing, let's sing "Wait in the Water" real quick one more time. So we say, "Wait in the water." So an ad-lib would be an example of, "You gotta wait, 'cause God." Thank you. So how the soloist would just add different embellishments of the word would be, that's what an ad-lib is. All right? Real quick and simple. And so now we're going to put it all in practice. So just try to think about some of these things that we have up there as you listen to this next song, and listen to more specifically how that's different than the first song that we sung. So as you can see, a little bit different than the first one. A lot different than the first one. We have, it's not a Hammond B3, but it's an organ. We have pianos that's introduced. We have drums that's introduced. 3-part harmony that's introduced. The director that's introduced. I wasn't as enthusiastic. I can't mess up my get up here, but I got you next week. And so those were kind of the differences that we noticed between historic gospel music and then kind of that developmental period. So moving on, we're going to talk about contemporary gospel music. So this is kind of like 2010s into now. You know, a lot of choirs, a lot of organizations have moved towards more praise and worship teams, a little bit more focused than the mass gospel choir. This is usually have fewer participants. Praise and worship teams usually can have anywhere from, some can do it with one, but usually you usually see 2 to 7 people on the praise and worship team. It was a style change. So as you know, it was almost like a double developmental. So it was like we had the development of the mass gospel choir, but then it was even more development that took place, which calls for repertoire or music to be a little bit more harder. You have the increase of technology. So again, you didn't need as many people to be able to do the same thing that you were doing back then. You also had like things like click tracks that were introduced, and then like DAWs, which are like the audio software that we use to create music. To like if you ever heard a track on the radio, that was probably produced more than likely by a digital audio workstation. And then that last thing was like kind of the barrier to entry. So we make a joke. Mike is a little poppy, but that's all right. There we go. We made a little joke of like anybody in the church could kind of sing in the choir during that developmental stage, but the barrier to entry is a little bit more higher once you have that. Once you get into kind of contemporary or praise and worship teams, you have more intentional rehearsals. You have more people that actually know how to sing, not hitting at the gospel choir. Not our gospel choir, but like mass gospel choir in general. But no, for real. How it used to work, if somebody wanted to be in the choir, you put them in the choir, and then you just put them in the back of the choir, away from the mic. But now, since it was fewer people, you had to make sure you actually knew how to sing, because, mic amplifies, it doesn't correct. So, so that's why the barrier entry was a little bit higher. You also get way more expressive lyrical arrangements. So this is just something I noticed just being a part of the church, is like lyrics was a little bit more direct to God and more intimate. So it was more of worshiping versus just praise, because in order to worship it, you must worship him in spirit and truth, versus anybody can praise God. And so it was a little bit more intimate, just because you have that's the fewer people. You can get a little bit more intentional and intimate during your worship experience. In addition, you have more diversity. So we refer to the gospel sound, big mass gospel choir. But now with contemporary gospel music, you don't necessarily have that. So you might have people that are doing gospel rap music. I know one artist we used to listen to growing up was Canton Jones. He was a gospel, he's a gospel rap artist. Now you got Lecrae, and then you got gospel R&B, people like Molly Music. And so you was able to incorporate different genres, but with gospel. So it was like a gospel subgenre of rap, gospel subgenre of R&B, hip hop, etc. And also it was the expression, as I talked about a little bit more, of that more of a worship versus a praise. So you'll be able to be a little bit more intentional and intimate with God through your worship, through your singing, and different things like that. So we want to showcase that. The other part, sorry, I said that was a weird So the last part, I'm going to just be showcasing some of my original compositions. These are 3 different songs wrote in different parts of my life. I know a man, I was going through a transition from high school into college, and I just didn't know what was going on. And so actually we wrote this in my room with Marcus. We were just playing around on the keyboard, and he started playing some chords, and we ended up writing it in my room. And so it was just as a reminder to myself and to the listener that during tough times, like, it's all right. You know somebody that can help you get through this. So in the beginning, if you listen to the words, it talks about this person that can do amazing things. However, it doesn't reveal who that person is in the verses. And I wrote it like that intentionally because sometimes it's like we can know that God is there, or we know that he's listening. We know he never leave us nor forsake us, but sometimes it feels like he's just not there. And so that was my intentionality between delaying, like actually saying who he is. And then as the piece progresses, it then sends that reminder of who he is. He is I am, And so I'm not going to preach y'all happy today, but no. But that is to just kind of serve as that reminder. The second one is faithful. Faithful was written during a celebration of my new job. I had just signed the offer letter, and I was actually in Colton Chapel, and I came down here, and I was sitting on that piano right there, and I was crying first, and then and I just began to talk to God more intimately. It was like, man, you've been faithful, like throughout this whole college experience, throughout thick and thin, through tough times, through everything, you have been faithful. You kept your word, and so it talks about kind of how, like, even when I didn't think he was going to be able to do it, he still led me. He still was God. He was still faithful. And then the ending is the part of a prophetic worship of just saying, like, crying out that he's faithful. When you don't have nothing else to say or nothing else to do, just a reminder that he's faithful. Amen. And then the last one is All Right. It was written during COVID. We were practicing, we have a musician rehearsal, and then Jeremy brought some chords, and I was like, "Ooh, let me write to them chords." And then that's how we got All Right. It was birthed during COVID, so it was a time with, again, chaos, havoc, uncertainty, unprecedented times. I know you guys heard that a lot. And so it was just a reminder of, even through hardship, it gets rough. It's going to have hard times, but it's going to be all right in the end. So all my compositions follow within kind of gospel music of messages of hope, freedom, and then also that communication to God. So we are going to go on into it. If Voices of Praise, you want to come up with I Know a Man, and
that can move mountains. I know a man that can lay hands on the blind. I know a man that can do wonderful works, and they shall recover. He does marvelous things. I know a man that can move mountains. I know a man that can lay hands on the blind. I know a man that can do wonderful works, and they shall recover. He does marvelous things. He's a wonderful Savior, healer of all men. He's powerful, mighty. He has the whole world in his hands. Alpha, Omega, beginning and the end. So full of glory. There is power in his name. He's a wonderful healer of all men. star. Jesus, his name is Jesus. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. He's my lily in the valley, my bright and morning star. Jesus, Jesus, he's my way maker, my way maker, my way maker, my way maker. He's faithful, my protector, Jehovah, Jireh, Jehovah, Nisi, Jehovah, Yahweh, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. He shall recover. He does marvelous things. We shall recover. He does marvelous things. We shall recover. He does marvelous things. This next part, it's a tagline to it, but it's not officially a part of it. But it was sitting in my room one day, and again, going through transition, a lot of transition this last few seasons, but it was another comforter, and it goes, I had some good days and some bad days. I had some ups and downs that turned me around. But if there is one thing that always remains, you have always been there for me. You have always been there for me. I had some good days, had some bad days. I had some ups and downs that turned me around. But if there is one thing that always remains, you have always been there for me. You have always been there for me. There's another old one, say, and it reaches to the highest mountain, and it flows to the lowest valley. Oh yeah. Oh, the blood that gives me strength from day to day, it will never lose its power. I need thee, oh, I need thee. Every hour I need thee. reaches to the highest mountain, and it flows to the lowest valley. Oh yes, all the blood. Anybody know about the blood? All the blood that gives me strength from day to day. It will never lose. It will never. It will never lose. It will never lose its power. Sorry, just got to make it personal. It's only because of the blood that we was able to make it through. The blood that was shed on Calvary over 2,000 years ago. I know this is a presentation, but it gets a little sensitive when I get to talking about Jesus and I think about everything that he has done for me and how he's made a way through and through, how he woke me up this morning, how he started me on my way, how he gave me a voice to be able to sing, how he kept me in my right mind, how he didn't let me lose my mind, how he didn't let me kill myself when I was suicidal. It's only because of the blood that I'm able to stand here today. So I'm sorry if you don't get it, but for the few folk that can get it, it's only because of the blood. Hallelujah. He's faithful. These not tears of sadness, these are tears of joy. I'm getting ready to graduate in May. We're getting ready to graduate in May. Wasn't always able to be that happy. We're getting ready to graduate in May. Glory. Glory. We're getting ready to graduate. Woo! That's a good segue to talk about why he's faithful. Hey. Yes, God. You've been better than good to me. Yeah. Oh. Real simple. From the beginning, you knew my destiny. You guided my steps through this journey. Your promises are yes and amen. Your grace and your mercy was sufficient. Lord, you are faithful. Anybody know God to be faithful? Lord, you are faithful. You are faithful. Even when I wasn't, Lord, you are faithful. When I wasn't sure, you still led me. I would stumble and fall, and you'll still be here. Even when I couldn't see the vision. Y'all know what he was? He was solid like a rock, firm like a foundation. Lord, you are faithful. Lord, you are faithful. got an O in the room on this place on tonight. Let me hear you sing, oh. Oh. You want me to go, I go. 'Cause you've been so faithful. You want me to go, I go. I walk on the water. I walk on the water. You've been faithful. 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 You've been Keep on making a way. Keep on making a way. Way. Oh, way. Way. Keep on making a way. Way. Na 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 way. Way. Keep on making a way. Way. When I look back over my life, keep on making a way. Keep on making a way. Oh, way. Keep on making a way. That's right. Now for this last one, I need y'all to get up on your feet. Oh my goodness. Is that Brian? Welcome, Brian. This one got a little dance to it. We're gonna move around a little bit, because it's gonna be all right. All right? Sometimes it can get rough, life throwing punches, and it seems like you had enough. Hey, but hold your head up high, even when you wanna cry. God is on your side. It's gonna be alright. He will be alright. 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 Yeah. Alright. Sometimes it can get rough, life throwing punches, and it seems like you had enough. But hold your head up high, even when you wanna cry. God is on your side. It's gonna be alright. It will be alright. 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 Yeah. Alright. Alright. To the right now, to the left. Take it back now, y'all. One hop, it's gonna be alright. Y'all got it? To the right now, to the left. Take it back now, y'all. One hop, it's gonna be alright. Y'all got it? Come on. To the right now, to the left. Take it back now, y'all. One hop, it's gonna be alright. We got the new. Come on. To the right now, to the left. Take it back now, y'all. One hop, it's gonna be alright. Last time we show. To the right now, to the left. Hey, take it back now. One hop, it's gonna be alright. Right now, to the left. Take it back now, y'all. One hop, it's gonna be alright. It will be alright. Close out with this quote. Music has the ability to speak when words fail. It was given by Robert J. Gupta during the TED Talk, and it was talking about how music rehabilitation and how that its effects on Alzheimer's and different things like that. But this really stuck out to me because I feel like that's what gospel music does sometimes. When you don't know what else to do, sometimes you just sing songs to God and say, God, I don't know how I'm feeling. But I know you know how I'm feeling, and I need you to help me see this through. I know you're gonna make a way. I know that you are good, and so hope that resonates with you guys. Also, thank you, and here are my references. If you want to know a little bit more about that, but we got to close this one out for Auntie since we got about 4 more minutes left. This is Auntie's favorite song, so we're gonna sing that for her. Can we go, Lord, you are good? Y'all can get up on y'all feet. We're going home on this one too. We gotta speed that up to a little bit. Say, Lord, you are good. good, he's good, he's good, he's good. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you guys for coming out. Praise God. Thank you guys for coming out. Also, if you want to get you some Maze Music merch out there, it is for sale on the table. If you don't let the door hit you on the way out, but it is some merch on the table if you want to donate or purchase a shirt for the center. But no, seriously, I do appreciate you guys coming out, listening to the performance. Another round of applause for Voices of Praise, Gospel Choir. Faith in Action. Everybody, I mean, everyone in this room has been, my grandmother, my mom, my sister, not my sister, my sister, she probably went to the table. But yeah, everyone here for being a tremendous journey, a part of my story journey. I really do appreciate that. So, thank you, and yeah, I don't know how to end it. I love you too, man. So there's going to be a reception right out. If you want to go down to eat, we're going to have a reception down at Hugo's Frog Bar, downtown Naperville. We are going to. We could just Google walk over, drive over. 2 blocks. So you can either drive or walk, but it's going to be a reception down in the down at. We still live. Reverend Eric, can you stop the live? Yeah, can you stop the YouTube live? Yeah, everything was live. Oh, y'all got caught. I'll write the replay. But no, we'll be down at Hugo's. Thank you so much to Mr. Steve Rubin, God Dad, for taking care of that. And yeah.